Now, Dave made a maze. Oh, magic realism.
Thank you for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review, episode 25. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Nick Strawn.
I'm going to go right into my description from IMDb. I'm calling my source.
Okay.
Quote.
There you go. Quote.
Dave is an artist who has yet to complete anything significant in his career. Builds a fort in his living room out of pure frustration, only to wind up trapped by the fantastical pitfalls.
Wow, that is the crappiest single description of a movie I've ever heard.
I'll just end quote.
That's
there we go.
Just
so anyway,
terrible.
This dude who's a slacker artist, never done anything good.
Right.
He gets frustrated while his girlfriend's out of town. He makes a maze in his living room.
Yeah.
And it basically opens with her coming home and he's trapped.
And
there's maze.
And it looks like there's a bunch of boxes in the
and it's not very impressive.
Yeah, it's not very impressive.
It's like 3 or 4 boxes maybe.
And I love the way that they kind of tease that we're going to go into the maze.
Yes.
You know, there's like a teasing effect that goes on, and you wonder when you're going to get to see the inside because Dave seems in distress, and you can hear him, and he's right there. You know,
I know, it's ridiculous.
He's in a box right there.
Which, by the way, if my wife came home and I was in a fort, and I say I can't come out, I'm trapped,
it'd be like Wednesday.
There would be a knife coming through the wall, probably, and she'd tear it down.
It'd be a magic trick.
She'd just say, "Get the hell out of the box."
Oh yeah,
that's what she would say. So here's my review.
Okay,
it's like very short.
Okay,
I thought the acting was mediocre. The plot was very simple, but who the cares? Because I enjoyed it for the set.
The set was
amazing.
The set was amazing.
It was inventive.
It was the movie.
It was original, and it was a character. The set was a character.
Oh, wow!
And I loved how they interacted with and it reminded me of the Cube a little bit. But
the
Cube was a little bit more.
About, I love the way that it completely throws off your geography immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you get, because you're wondering. See, at first you're trying to put the maze together that you see visually from the outside. You're trying to put it together with him lost on the inside, and it doesn't compute. I mean, there's and that this has been going on for 2 weeks. You're like, well, you know, it doesn't compute, and you know that it's got to be something. You get to the point to where you know magic realism is coming,
mm-hmm.
but it's just that when it lands. And you get an idea of it, and it looks, and they build it perfectly. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's first of all the height.
It was pretty amazing.
Height starts to amaze you, and just the look of the cardboard is amazing, and then it just gets better and better and better, and the horror elements in the plane with how they kill people.
Yes,
that is just amazing.
The first death was like, I mean, yeah, it was very. I had a lot of pleasure watching that first step scene.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I wasn't expecting it. And it was like,
see, and the thing is I don't want to throw out any.
No. It was a very fun death scene.
Yeah.
And then all of them were.
all of them were. And it's
very creative.
Yeah. It was very, and the acting.
So the plot was terrible. And it didn't make sense if you really thought about it.
Yeah, but you're just going through this set. I mean, that's just, and I did notice that OK Go's bass player.
Yeah,
was wandering through there.
My favorite character was the boom operator.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Well, I kept thinking to myself that it had that look of I think that this guy might be affiliated with those with their videos because they're also very inventive in there. Very.
It was very inventive that they had a film crew get trapped in there because it's very convenient for like certain shots, and
it was just perfect. It was just perfect. And you know, I've worked in the business a long time, and cardboard is not an easy thing.
I was gonna say, like, as a production designer, would this be a project you'd want to work on, or?
Oh yeah, I'd have a blast. But at the same time, you know, the the hours and hours and hours of
It's like just
of
getting
our
it to
department
stick
would
would
just
be hard, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and
I like the mouth that opened up in the face.
the mouth and the art.
Yes.
I mean, like there was.
Oh yeah, the eyeball
constant-
where they had like
Yeah, and there were some rooms that you walked into that had just murals on the wall that were done without color, but just done.
Well,
with-
the first time
with
we
the
saw
cardboard.
how grand and big this maze was when they saw the keyboard.
Right. Oh yeah, in the keyboard room, and oh yeah, just and some of the gags, the keyboard room with all the sort of Laurel and Hardy-ish.
Yes.
Door in, door. The
Right.
old hotel.
Or Bugs Bunny type
Yeah,
thing.
the hotel hallway with all the doors and stuff was it was brilliant. It looked really cool. It really did.
So the funny thing about this movie is I tried to explain it to my wife. She was asking me what movie
It's
I was
impossible to
watching.
explain.
And she thought I was crazy that I would like a movie like that. I was like, no, it was awesome.
She hasn't watched it?
No, I'm gonna.
You should watch
I'm
it
gonna
with
watch
her.
it.
Oh yeah, I got to tell you, Paul and I watched it, and we were just blown away. I was so happy to see it. It makes you happy. That was the weird thing. Is it actually just made me
And there were
happy.
puppets involved. That was even better.
Yeah, not to give anything away, but
No.
they're
I mean, everything was made of paper. But.
Yeah, it was great.
So actually, okay, I will share some of my favorite quotes.
Okay, let's go.
I learned an old fort trick for one. That was really good.
Exactly right.
But my favorite quote of the whole thing was, "It's just cardboard. No one was supposed to get hurt."
No. Yep.
Actually, it starts. I just realized it started with a paper cut. The guy, when they first walked into the maze, he was.
Oh
running.
yeah, that's right.
That's how it started.
Oh, ow.
It's like it'll be okay. Anyway, but yeah, so I think out of I guess we could use boxes again as a
Yeah.
out of 5 boxes. How would you rate this one?
I'm still going to give it a 5, even though that it did have problems. It's just the creativity.
I think the film was
just
the
blew
set.
me away. Yeah, the
It was
film
the
was the
set.
set. Yeah.
Yeah, so I give it a 5 too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I'm looking for the second, the sequel or the prequel, whichever way they want to go.
Yeah.
Maybe have something in his childhood that caused this. Or
When we were doing Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Is this story time?
It is
Story time.
Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick. Story time
we had we had this set called Freddies Help, and the way that we started building is we had a we had a room that was at one time a refrigeration room for probably pork sides or something like that, and all the equipment had been pulled out of it and stuff, and it was huge. And what we did is we put framework all the way around the outside of it and soundproofed the room. And then we had all these frames, and I wanted just this look of just crinkled, sort of sewer-ish look.
Right.
And what we did, the way that we did is we took really heavy industrial foil. I mean, it's 4 foot wide, kind of like the stuff that you'd make a can out of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And rolls and rolls and rolls of it, and would put it down. And there was a technique that we developed that you would get behind it, and there was chicken wire in there too. So we put the chicken wire, and we put we had all these jacks standing up so that it had the structure, and then the chicken wire over it, and then what we had these people that we called moles.
Right.
And we hired a bunch of moles.
Right.
And what the moles did is they would string a piece of foil from the 25-foot ceiling, run it all the way down to the ground, push it up against the chicken wire, and then the moles would get on the back, and they would hook it with
Jeez.
hook it with a zip tie, right?
Wow.
Like thing. Actually, they used these brown tacks that we had found that were kind of, I guess the best description would be the world's largest binder flare, right? You know, those like the brass thing with the head and it goes out like that.
Right. Yeah.
And it spreads, right? Okay.
It expands.
Yeah. And so, so you could see if you walked into the room, we had hung all the stuff at once. And you would see as they worked around, and it took them 3 weeks to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You would see see the foil sucked up, right? And then
Jeez. Sounds like a fun job.
Yeah, and that's what you saw is you saw the moles working all the time, and you never saw the moles. All you saw is what the moles were doing. It was hilarious. I mean, you would go up to the platform on your lunch hour. And I would sit there with 3 tacos from the taco truck, 3 carnitas tacos from the taco truck. Sit up there, take my tacos, sit down, and just kind of like zone out, not tell anybody where I was.
You were there,
and just watch the moles. Things get pulled in like this.
Did they get pretty fast at it?
It always. That's the thing. That was what was so zen about it. There's only so fast that you could
probably
do
a
it.
certain rhythm too.
Yeah,
Probably.
Dum, dum, dum. It was just like it was about that. Dum, 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 and yeah, 3 weeks of that.
Wow.
It was very zen like.
Yes. So it was your meditation actually?
It was my meditation. I guarded my lunch times very jealously.
Right.
I had a friend who later towards the end of my career, and we were doing I was doing a lot of those reworks of commercials,
mm-hmm.
right? And I would always either lock my office door, or I would go off into a corner, or I'd go sit in my car and I would sit down because I didn't want to talk to anybody.
See, I picture you finding it, like, since you probably built some of the sets, finding hiding places.
Yeah, I had a lot of hiding places on the sets. But the thing is this friend said, you're being antisocial when you're doing that. And I go, well, I said, I cannot describe to you how much it is I need that time not to because
you never played basketball with Shaq?
I was. No, I didn't. I did not.
Sorry,
I always was. The problem with being an art director or being a director or anything like that is that there are so many people that have so many cross questions.
Yes,
every department wants to talk to you. Every department, and there's not enough time in the day to actually lay all those questions on end. They overlap each other, so you wind up on the phone talking to somebody at your desk. You always wind up sitting in a desk in a room with 2 other people that are important, to answer questions to them as things go along. Is it isn't even a question of one question. It's a question of the constant babble that comes your way. Yeah. And so this friend of mine kept pulling me out into lunch, and so as time went on, he calls me about 2 years later, and I'd heard he had gone all the way from a PA, an art department, to PA. He had actually gotten on some incredibly cheap film or something. He got to be a art director for the first time, and he calls me up three years later. He calls me up and he goes, "Dude, I want to apologize." He goes, because I'm an art director on this show, and I'm looking for a closet right now, so that I don't have to talk to anybody, so that I can just eat this frickin' burrito. And I go, "Yep, there you go." I said, "You've now made it to the top."
I guess it goes with any kind of managing. Role.
I mean, there's.
I've even managed a restaurant where basically.
Oh, guy, I can imagine
all the
a restaurant
were bothering you.
Yeah, and the thing is lunch doesn't. You don't want to like go in and laugh with the guys and all the rest of that. You might seem a little standoffish. It's just you just can't deal with it. I mean, it's just. I mean, I would get to the point of by the time I wanted to eat something, I just didn't want to hear anybody else's voice. I didn't want to hear the radio. I didn't want to hear anything.
Well, I've actually gone into a walk-in cooler to hide.
Yeah,
this is like when I was in college. So.
I used to go. I used to grab a taco at a taco truck and go eat at the McDonald's around the corner, just because it was an anonymous kind
that
of.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You know, it was like there was a drone going on, but it was white noise. You know,
right? Yeah.
And it wasn't specifically pointed at you. You know, so it's a good way to escape.
Huh.
So are we done with this turkey?
Yeah.
Hey, I know what we should do. Let's go. Let's get the hell out of here and go review Dave Made a Maze.
Let's do it.
Okay, bye.
Along with Mick Strawn, this is Kurt Thomas with the Dream Warrior Review. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for our show, feel free to email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at DW Review. Until next time, thanks for listening to the Dream Warrior Review.